Hello and welcome to Merve's Blurbs. Can never get that right.
This is Anime Shoshin. Are you ready?
Hello and welcome to Merve's Blurbs. I'm Merve and this is my buddy Blake. Oh, yeah, I'm doing this one alone. On today's episode, I'm reviewing the Chainsaw Man Manga. So this is the first manga I've ever read, and I'm going to let you know how I felt about it. I'll start with my review, and then we'll get into what it's about. I'm going to give Chainsaw Man an 8 out of 10. It's pretty good. Now, it might be inflated because I've never read a manga, so I have nothing really to compare it to. I'm going to read some more and find out. Chainsaw Man follows Denji, a demon hunter down on his luck. He's trying to pay off his father's debts to the Yukata. The Yukata? Yakuza. He's trying to pay off his father's debts to the Yakuza, a Japanese mafia. Along the way, he befriends a little dog who has a chainsaw for a face. Pochita. And though he is very cute, he is actually a chainsaw demon. When Denji is betrayed, he merges with Pochita to become the titular Chainsaw Man. Along the way, he meets other characters and continues to go on adventures fighting demons. Well, since it's me, I'm going to talk about writing. And what I'd really like to talk about is a gardener versus an architect in writing terms. Now, a gardener, also called a pantser for someone that goes by the seat of their pants, is someone who comes up with a character, a scene, or a synopsis and just runs with it. Sees where their imagination takes them. Whereas an architect, also called an outliner, painstakingly outlines every single aspect of their story before writing it. So why am I talking about this right now? Well, because Tatsuki Fujimoto, the mangakata of Chainsaw Man, is obviously a gardener. Some other famous gardeners are George R. R. Martin and Charlaine Harris. George R. R. Martin wrote A Song of Ice and Fire, and Charlaine Harris wrote the Sookie Stackhouse novels, which the HBO series True Blood is based on, loosely based on. The books are better. Another famous gardener is Stephen King, who I'm a big fan of. I have his Funko Pop right here. Comes with his corgi, who looks like my corgi. And one of the knocks on Stephen King often is that his endings are a little poor. And that comes from him being a gardener. And some of the famous architects you may know are Jim Butcher, who does the Dresden Files, and Brandon Sanderson, who does Stormlight Archives and Mistborn series, and finished off the Wheel of Time. So the differences between the two are usually easy to spot. Oftentimes, a gardener is going to be a little more imaginative. The stories are going to be a little more whimsical. And some of the ideas are a little more strange. Say like a man who melds with his little dog who's also a chainsaw demon. And now an architect is generally speaking going to have tighter continuity and a stronger ending. Neither of these are the right or wrong way to go. And in fact, a lot of people do something in the middle. Like when I write something long form, short stories I always garden because they're short. But if I'm writing a novel, I usually know the beginning, the pinch in the middle, the big middle, whatever you want to call it, some big event that happens in the middle, the ending, and maybe a couple little scenes along the way. I also fully flesh out my characters in advance, and then I just kind of see how I get from lily pad to lily pad, as I call them, hopping along the story. So they both have pros and cons. And what I would actually recommend is if you've never done one or the other, if you're a straight gardener, try outlining something one time. If you're a straight outliner, try gardening sometime. If you do what I do, lily pad, now I've also wrote one where I completely gardened, and it took a lot more revision to get it to anywhere where my agent would even look at it. Or if you have never completely outlined a book and fleshed out the characters in advance, maybe try it just to see. Always try things. And I'm talking about this because the things I like about Chainsaw Man and the things I didn't like as much about Chainsaw Man all come down to it being a gardened book. So some of the things I really liked is obviously the cool idea of fusing his little Pokemon to himself to become Chainsaw Man, a Hulk-like guy who can transform when he needs it. But also when you're gardening, sometimes you come up with a new character or a new idea and you start to fall in love with that idea. So, for example, later on a character appears, Power, who is a demon that partners up with Chainsaw Man, well, partners up with Denji, which is part of the problem. And I think Tatsuki Fujimoto really liked Power, who is a cool character. But we start to lose Denji towards the middle of the story, and we only see Chainsaw Man once on the very last page and once pretty early on. So there's a big chunk in the middle where we don't get kind of the big action that's promised us, right on the cover. Now, Denji is a likable character. Another one of the things I really liked about this is he's likable and he's very relatable, except for the fusing with the devil part. But he has a strong want. He needs money and also boobs. He wants boobs. So he's a character that we can all get behind just because he has such a strong desire. And in fact, the only thing he really wants is a normal life. He dreams of having enough money to pay off his debts and having just a regular apartment, not having to do strange things like eat cigarettes for $100 here and there. One of the other things I really liked about Chainsaw Man is the art is incredible. It is in typical manga or anime fashion, has a lot of the same things that I've seen in anime that I've watched, but it also has a Alex Tothian kind of Western line style to it that I think is really cool and really different than a lot of the other stuff I've seen. So what I was thinking probably happened here is Tatsuki Fujimoto was sketching one day and drew a man with a chainsaw face and chainsaw hands and said, "This is cool. I would like to draw this guy some more." And the idea sprang from there. He probably just maybe even started drawing. Now he probably had some ideas. Oh, he's a demon. Oh, maybe he fused with a demon. Well, then what demon did he fuse with? And we get Pochita, who is adorable, even though he's a chainsaw demon. And so the idea sprung from there. Some other famous works and how they started. George R. R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire. The first scene he came up with was the scene where the Starks go out in the woods and they find the slain direwolf and the direwolf pups. Now that scene was going through his head, he said, over and over and over while he was trying to write a sci-fi novel. And he couldn't quite get the sci-fi novel written because this scene was going over and over in his head. So he finally sat down and just started writing, starting with that scene. And we've gotten most of A Song of Ice and Fire. Probably everything we're going to get. A famous story from the architect point of view is Jim Butcher, who had written a couple novels, was taking an MFA class on writing novels. And his teacher told him, here's how you set up a scene. Here's some scene outlines that you can fill out. Here's a story outline you can fill out. And to show her he didn't need to do that, he filled out everything, filled out all his chapters, and wrote a book that way, and wrote Stormfront, the first Harry Dresden novel. When he brought it to his teacher, she said, "You will sell this." And so he showed her by finishing the novel in that way. So how does this help you as a writer? Well, just some things to think about, some things to watch out for, or better yet, some new styles to try. And that's everything I have for Chainsaw Man, a manga I really enjoyed. Like I said, 8 out of 10 for me. If you like this, please subscribe and give us a like. See ya!
You're done. But you'll be back.